Hello, my name is Pablo Ortiz-Monasterio. I am the founder of AS3 Driver Training. This video you can see here has been going around for days on social media, and I wasn't gonna make any comments because it's pretty much obvious what happens, but I've been asked so much for some feedback, and there are some professionals, some of them really professional, some of them not so much out there talking about this. And I think there are a few things that are worth mentioning here. First of all, the technical aspect. Why did it happen? Was it a high center of gravity vehicle? Was it the grip? Was it, who cares? Really? I mean, I've seen so many analyses out there that some of them make a lot of sense. Some of them, it's just people talking. But why does it matter? I think there's two main characters or persons to blame in this situation. There's someone died because of this. And it's not because it is a high center of gravity vehicle, which of course physically it makes a difference, but that was not at fault why this happened. This was a series of bad decisions, and there's two people here that we need to blame and we need to recognize in this process. First of all, the person that offered training without knowing what he was doing. Anybody that knows a little bit about physics, this is the third law of motion, Newton's third law of motion. Anybody that knows and understands a little bit about physics knows that this should not have been practiced, especially not being taught. And I mean, there's a lot of people out there that offer this kind of training. We do a 180 reverse in some of our trainings, and it's not because it is a great evasive maneuver, because it's not. There's a few reasons why we do it. And first of all, we never do it on a high center of gravity vehicle. We do it on a low center of gravity vehicle, which are impossible. Well, not impossible, but they're very unlikely to flip like this. The other thing is, you will never see someone hanging out the window in one of our courses. What the hell is that person doing hanging out the window? What is the purpose of that? If that was a security detail and that security executive protection agent, bodyguard, however you want to call him, is hanging out the window and I want to neutralize him, all I have to do is bump into him at 20 miles an hour. Nothing's going to happen to my vehicle. He's just going to be catapulted out of that vehicle and probably die on the way out. Why would you train like that? Why would you sit somebody like that outside the window? Then why would you do a high energy maneuver on a high center of gravity vehicle? I can't understand why they do it, because they are not instructors. They don't understand physics. They've done it a couple of times. They've probably gone to one of our courses or some of our other courses. There are some great courses out here that can teach you a lot of things. And they go to one of this and then they think they know and they go and they want to do it again. And the other person that is to blame here and should be held responsible is whoever chose him or her as their trainer. Whoever chose that program for those people, be it police, be it professional executive protection agents, being what protection details, whatever you want, whoever made a decision of hiring someone that does not have the credentials, just because he was an ex-special forces from somewhere, or because he was whatever you want. I mean, we have special forces from all over the world selling things. They have no idea. They don't understand. Maybe they were special forces. Maybe they were trained in these type of disciplines, but they did not understand. They never were part of the why we do things. If you don't understand the why, what the hell are they doing? Somebody must be held accountable. And this is not the first time it happens. Look at this. This has happened in Mexico as well. And I'm sure if I dig deep enough, I can find this happening in the United States as well. In the United States, we have liability issues to think about, and a lot of people will not dare do something like that, but yet still they do it. And still people are choosing people because of their background, because they were involved in combat, because they have a lot of combat experience, they have a lot of training under their belt, but they were never included in the why. Training is designed via a certain methodology so that it works. Why do we choose these type of things? And why do people choose these type of things? One, they're impressive when they work. When they don't, well, you see what happens. Two, they're fun. They're a lot of fun. People feel powerful when they come out. And that also has a very difficult situation. That also presents a difficult issue, which is, or a dangerous issue, which is a false sense of empowerment. You walk out of that course because that day nothing happened for some reason. Some physics works like that, right? If you don't go to the edge, you did it a little bit slower, you might have pulled it off. And then you walk out of there thinking you can do something you cannot do. That is very, very dangerous. If you read Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman's book on combat, he talks about the 3 types of competence that we have. And the most dangerous one is unconscious incompetence. That means you think you can do something, but you can't. And it was Mark Twain, I think, that said, it's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble, it's what you think you know for a fact, it just ain't so. And that is a very, very dangerous skill to have, one that does not work, and that you're gonna try to apply it, you're gonna go right to it, directly to it when the situation rises, when that moment of stress, that moment of emergency, with your principal in the back, and you're gonna try to do this, and look at the outcome. So if the person that is training you does not understand, first, the physics, 2, why we do the things we do, why we train the way we train, if there is not a methodology, just because I've done it before doesn't mean I understand it. So if you're going to training and you only have fun, that means you're only doing what you already know how to do. In order to build a skill, we need to be doing special type of drills. If you can't build a skill, you can't move into doing practical world stuff. And the fact that you're not doing that, that only means that whoever's instructing you is not aware on how you need to learn. Choose your training carefully. You don't have a lot of time. And something like this, an imbecile that would allow one of their students to hang out the window because I don't know what was going through his mind. Run. That can get you killed. It's going to, if you don't die at that particular training, yeah, you're going to come back to that skill when the shit hits the fan, when the things get really ugly. You're going to come back to that skill. That was Archilochus, the Greek philosopher, that said, you don't rise to the level of the situation, you will sink to the level of your training. If your training tells you to do something like this on the darkest day, you are going to fall back into that, and you're going to get into an accident with your principal in the back or with your teammates in the back. Think about the consequences. Choose your training carefully. These 2 people, whoever trained them and whoever chose him as trainer, should be accountable for this man's death. Leave us your comments. Again, I'd love to hear what you think. Thank you for asking me to actually do a review about this. I'm not going to go into technical details because they don't really matter, as I said in the beginning, but I really like to know your opinion. Drop us a line, share this. The more the merrier. If not, I'll see you next time.